Welcome to a tutorial on how to format a reference page according to the 6th edition of the APA Publication Manual. I am Professor Mary Ann Fallon from the Department of Psychological Science at Central Connecticut State University. In this tutorial, I will create a reference page using Microsoft Word. Now I'm using a Mac, but the process is basically the same in a PC. We'll talk about how to format your header for the page, make a hanging indent, and format and organize references for journal articles, as well as book chapters. Now let's talk about the header. Center your cursor at the top of the page, and you can do this in numerous ways. You can use the icon here, the icon on the toolbar above, or by going under Format, Paragraph, and Alignment. Now type the word References with a capital R. Do not bold or italicize the header, and this format is known as a title header. Now let's set the format for the references themselves. Include a hard return, put your cursor back to flush left, and we'll set up something called a hanging indent. When you normally indent a paragraph, you begin the first sentence about a half an inch from the left side of the page. However, in a hanging indent, the first line is flush left, but subsequent lines are indented half an inch. There are a couple of ways to get a hanging indent. First, you could go to the top ruler and place your cursor on the bottom triangle. You'll notice that you see the caption Hanging Indent. Slide this triangle over half an inch. Be careful to select only the bottom triangle. Moving the top and the bottom triangle changes the left side margin. Now let me set that back and show you another way of setting a hanging indent. Now you can go to the Format menu, select Paragraph, and under the heading Indentation and Special, select Hanging by 0.5 inches and choose OK. And again, we have our hanging indent. Okay, now we're ready to actually type our references. Let's take the simplest case of having only one author. We start with the first author's surname or last name. We place a comma after the surname, space, and follow it with the author's initials. In this case, the author has only one initial, J, and we follow that with a period and a space. Now we need to include the year of publication in parentheses. And again, we follow this with a period. Next, we type the title. We use sentence case to express the title, and this means that we capitalize only the first word in the title and any word that appears after a colon or dash. We would also capitalize proper nouns. We follow the title with a period. Now we include the title of the journal using title case, and this means we capitalize all important words or any word that is 4 or more letters long. We follow the title with a comma and then include the volume number, followed by a comma. Sometimes we include the issue number in parentheses, but only when each issue of a volume starts at page 1. Now we need to italicize our title of the journal and the volume number. These are the only two things that get italicized in the entire reference. Now we follow with the page range, which we separate with a hyphen. Notice that we don't put spaces around the hyphen, and we end with a period. If your article has a DOI, or Digital Object Identifier, it appears next. However, this article does not. Plus, the student read a printed version of the article, not one that was retrieved online. So this reference is now complete. Notice that we automatically got our hanging indent based on our formatting. It's much easier to format the hanging indent using the strategies that I described instead of having to manually place in hard returns and extra tabs. Now, you're likely to have more than one reference in your reference section. We order the references alphabetically using the first author's last name. So let's add another reference. This time, the reference will have 3 authors. In this case, the first author's surname is Hunter. H comes before M, so we want to place this reference before Matsumoto. Notice that Hunter has 2 initials for his first and middle name. We separate the 2 initials with a space. The next author is Schellenberg, who also has 2 initials, and the final author is Griffith. Notice that you separate the final author from the penultimate author using an ampersand, not the word and. This construction works for up to 6 authors. Now, if the source has 7 authors or more, which some do, you write the first 5, place an ellipsis after the 5th, and then include the final author. Now let's get our publication year, followed by the title, journal title, volume number. If you want to italicize quickly, one way of doing it is using a keyboard hotkey or shortcut. On most computers, this involves the Command key or Control key and the letter I. Here comes our page range, and this particular source does have a DOI. Note that DOI is not capitalized. It is followed by a colon, and your computer may be set up to automatically capitalize certain letters. Make sure this doesn't happen. Notice also that there is no space after the colon. Also notice that you do not follow the final digit or letter of the DOI with a period. Now, what happens if you have the same first 2 authors and the third differs? Well, you alphabetize based on the third author. So let me give you an example of that. What if we have another source by Hunter, Schellenberg, and Shimak? S comes after G, so that would come after the Hunter, Schellenberg, and Griffith citation. Notice that we always go by alphabetical order, even when chronologically one article precedes the next. However, what happens when you have the same 3 authors, but they've published papers in different years? Well, at that point, you do order the references chronologically. So here we have Hunter, Schellenberg, and Shimak, 2010. This will appear after Hunter and Colleagues' 2008 article, despite the fact that the first word of the article title for the 2000 study comes first alphabetically. Again, at this point, we order chronologically. Sometimes you might cite the chapter of a book. If so, follow the same rule of starting with the authors, followed by the publication year, followed by the title of the chapter in sentence case. Then we have a special construction for edited books. First, we write the word in, and then we include the names of the editors of the book. We use initials for first and middle names, but this time we do not place the initials after the surnames, we place them before. Notice that there is no ampersand separating the final and penultimate editor. Follow the list of editors with an open parentheses and the abbreviation for editors, capital EDS period. Close the parentheses and include a comma. Now type the title of the book in italics and include the page range in parentheses and precede the page range with the abbreviation PP. Close the parentheses, include a period. Now we include the location of publication, followed by a colon, and the name of the publisher. And if applicable, include the DOI. Okay, there you have it. So let's review what we did. In this tutorial, we made a header for the references page, made a hanging indent for our resources, much easier than including hard returns and tabbing. And we wrote our references for journal articles as well as a book chapter. We organized our references alphabetically according to the author's last names. I hope you learned a lot about formatting your references page in APA style. Bye for now.